It is a street environment where I am. It's too cold, just amazing. It's as if it's not in Uganda. So I don't know which part of the country you are in right about now when you're watching this, but where I am, it's just amazing. I welcome you to the Ben Live. My name is Gift Nakainga, and I would request you to take some time off and text your friends, call them, or you can just send them this link where you're watching us and tell them to be watching. Usually I feel that for Ben Live, we just inform you and educate you. There are certain things that we do not know of. So kindly subscribe and make sure you hit the notification bell. Being here, it's just an honor for us, and if you happen to be new, don't worry, it's about to become your home. I mean the channel that is on Facebook, Ben Live, and then on YouTube, Ben Live. Well, I'm not alone where I am. Just like you see, the atmosphere is good. It's a home. We're in this side of Mutongo, Abamanye Ruzira. Yeah, it's Mutongo, and it's some hill around Mutongo. So I want to just welcome my guests tonight to say hello to us, and then more is going to be coming up. And well, I'm going to start with, usually they say ladies first, but this time round we're just breaking the protocol and all that. Men first on this particular episode. Ladies and gentlemen, just allow me welcome to you Mr. Delmark. He's going to say hi and also welcome you viewers and be in position to tell us more about himself. You're welcome, sir.
Thank you very much. Gift. I'm called Mangusho Delmark. I'm a Sabin by tribe.
Esa?
Sabin.
Sabin.
And I'm a Ugandan. You know the Sabin are also in Kenya, but
oh.
I'm in Uganda. I work in government as a community worker. I worked as a sub-county chief. Now I'm a senior assistant town clerk. And here I am, basically to speak with you about our culture.
Okay, as
a rich culture.
You're skipping something important. Are you married? Do you have children?
Apologies. Thank you very much. I'm married to one wife called Janet Chesang.
Okay.
She's a teacher by profession. We have 6 children.
Oh.
2 boys and 4 girls.
I like that. 6 children, good family planning.
Yeah.
He didn't go beyond that. Okay, you're welcome, Mr. Delmark. Very gladly welcome. And well, I'm going to be introducing our other amazing guests. Yeah, the colors are a bit different, but don't worry. We can blend.
Yeah.
We're just blending. So at this moment of time, I want to welcome Reverend Patti, just to say hello to us and tell us more about herself. Is she married? Does she have children? Does all those things we would want to know them in details. You're welcome, Reverend.
Thank you, Gift. It's very great to be here. I've known Ben from Ben Live for many years, and he's followed our work. I'm from the United States, and I am the president and founder of an organization, an NGO called Life Together International. And we have been working, this is my 18th year of ministering throughout East Africa, and concentrating in Uganda though. And I began by teaching the biblical perspective of equality between men and women, and there actually is a biblical perspective of equality between men and women. And in 2007, a priest from Delmark's area came to me and said, you haven't convinced us that women are made in the image of God. So maybe God doesn't want us cutting our girls. So that is what led me to Sabay. It took 3 years before the bishop was really willing to let one more NGO come and talk about this. But my perspective is very different because my background, my undergraduate degree is in psychology and biology. And I can explain to everyone why it's important for both couples to enjoy the pleasure of sexual intimacy. Can we talk about use real words here?
Real words, yes.
Okay, this has been live, so it's live. Okay.
There is life.
Yeah. So I came to Sabay in 2011, January 2011, after the FGM Act was put into effect in 2010, and that year more girls were cut in Sabay than in any other year. So the bishop said, yeah, why don't you come? It can't hurt anyway. But when I give the biological understanding of why those body parts exist, people are like, oh my gosh, can we put these things back in our wives? Which of course tells me that they understand what I'm talking about. And we're able to say, no, but you can become the new generation, the new ancestors that people long from now will look at and say, wow, our ancestors stopped this. So I don't come as someone trying to tell you you've done something wrong. I don't even really talk about women's rights. I talk about human biology. And those are important. But if you don't believe that women have rights, you have to understand from the Bible that God says, oh yes they do. These are my daughters you're talking about.
And then he says, let us create man,
Yes.
a human being in our
Yes.
own image.
Yes.
Yeah.
Right.
And well, she mentioned that she's been in Africa for the last 18 years, but mostly based here in Uganda. Going to go back to Reverend Patti to tell us why choose Uganda amongst other countries in Africa.
That's a good question. When I was in seminary, so I also have a Master's of Divinity. When I was in seminary, I was introduced to a man named Reverend Dr. Mida Birungi, and he had heard a talk that I had given in the United States, in Dallas, in 2003. And he didn't understand that women were equal to men until he heard that tape. And so he contacted me and asked me to come. He said, this is a message we need. And this had nothing to do with FGM. It was just, his father was married to 6 wives, had 52 children or something like that, many, many, many children. And his father left the first wife behind, and he went to God and said, why did you make women to be subordinate, submissive to men? And God instructed him in his own mind and heart to go back and read Genesis 1. And that's where it says that God created man and woman in his image, and he told them both to rule over fish of the sea, the birds of the air, the cattle, over all the earth. And so he started immediately looking for someone who could teach him more about that. And somehow he landed on a recording of my talk. So he contacted me and said, well, you need to come to Uganda. We need this message. And I had never been anywhere. I live in Massachusetts, on the eastern coast of the United States, and I can't go to Africa. There's bugs that can kill you there. But he forced me. He said, have you prayed? Have you prayed? Well, no. So I prayed, and after 9 months, God just made it very clear to me that I should come. And I came once thinking, okay, I'll have my African experience and then I'll go back home. But it was so amazing because this message, at the end of 2003, when HIV/AIDS was ravaging the entire country and the whole continent, I believe, but people were looking for a different way to live with each other. And I would say, do unto others as you would have them do unto you. That is equality. And so when I could explain it, they were like, oh, this may be a new way to live. So it started a little candle of light here in Bushini, one in Kati Parish, one in Kabale, one in Kampala, and then they grew to little brush fires. And now there's this huge forest fire of love and kindness and oneness, because my message is about oneness. I'm not trying to, right now men are on top. Men are the ones who make all the decisions and everything. I'm not trying to flip the power paradigm, because what the Bible teaches is interdependence and oneness. And when I can explain it in a way that people really hear it, then they start to see it in their Bibles, and it makes a huge difference. So that's how I got here in the first place. So because of all these little fires that were started, they kept saying, you come back, you come back. So I just keep coming back. I go home, raise more funds. If anybody's listening, then I come back and it's like that.
Let them keep those funds coming through. Yes, sir. Let us start by getting to know what it is about Life Together International as an organization from Denmark.
The main objective of Life Together International is to cultivate oneness.
Oneness.
We have to be one. We have to be united. And it's teaching about equality based on the teaching of the Bible, how to live together. And now, if we are equal, right, then we don't need to be cutting our girls. There's nobody in the Bible who teaches us to cut girls, but it's all about boys, starting from the time of Abraham and Isaac and Jacob.
It was male circumcision.
Including the Lord Jesus Christ. He was circumcised, he was cut on the 8th day. So
in the Bible, it's mentioned that if one of your body parts causes you to sin, cut it off, cut it off. So now I'm wondering, what happens to ladies? Do those body parts make them sin? We're going to learn all those things. I'm going to start with Reverend Patti to tell us about what it is if someone talks of female genital mutilation.
Okay, when I first was introduced to it in Africa, it was when I was speaking at a conference, and this priest came to me and he said, you know, since women are made in the image of God, maybe God doesn't want us cutting our girls. And I was like, okay, I agree that you're absolutely right, but can you tell me, why do you cut your girls? And he looked at me and like I didn't know anything, and he said, well, if a girl can enjoy sex, then she'll be promiscuous and she won't be a virgin for her husband. And if a wife can enjoy sex, then she won't be faithful. So I said, okay, so faithfulness is important, right? And he said, yes, of course faithfulness is important. So I looked at him and I said, so then if faithfulness is important, what do you cut off of the men to keep them from being unfaithful to their wives? And he looks down and he's like, I see your point. And I said, I wanted to push a little bit. And I said, seriously, if you think that forcing a woman to be faithful by cutting out her pleasure center is helping her stay faithful, and if you believe the whole entire Bible, when it says do unto others as you would have them do unto you, you must expect the wife to want something cut off of the man so that he's faithful also. At this point, sweat is dripping down on the ground, and he's like, you know, in our culture, a wife has to be pure, a woman has to be pure, but a man can do whatever he wants.
Oh, okay.
I know, I was very honest. I was proud of him for being honest, and then I said, but is that God's culture? Is it God's culture for a man to do what he wants?
And then a woman cannot do what she wants with us.
Yeah. And he said, no, so now you need to come and speak to our people. So that led me to ask, our first conference was in 2011.
yes.
And it was mostly with pastors. And I don't come as an expert like I know something. This is a culture I don't know. So I asked them first to teach me. So I asked them to divide up into small groups, and I gave them sticky notes with lines on it. Pink ones for girls, blue ones for boys, and green ones for the community. And I said, can you tell me the top 5 reasons why FGM is important for girls and women, why it's important for men and boys, and why it's important for the community? WHO, the World Health Organization, has 4 different categories. And the category that the Sabine have used is, I think it's 2 or 3, They cut out the woman's clitoris so she can feel no pleasure at all in sex. And they also cut off the labia majora and labia minora.
Okay, maybe just a quick
Yeah.
just a quick one. I'm wondering, just like you said, that they cut them off not to feel the pleasure for sex. Afterwards, do those women get married?
Yes, the cutting of the girls is before marriage. Oh, that was in the old days.
Before marriage?
But these days that they're hiding, they're even cutting those who have just
Gotten
into marriage. The objective, like she has told you, one of the objectives was to reduce the
Sexual drive.
the sexual drive of the woman, which in itself has a disadvantage.
Challenges, yeah.
Because it's true that they get married.
Yeah, they get married,
But
and now I'm
one of
wondering.
the experiences that exists today, you know, in the old days there was nobody doing a study. Nobody would question, nobody would research local. But now locally we are doing a research. And we have found out that when the women reach 45, 50, 60, they have a lot of problems, and there are many families that are not together. But if you are looking at the family as husband and wife who are supposed to stay together, that's our pleasure for the parents, for the children, and for the community. I want to inform you that what the Sabine intended has actually become a disadvantage because the women don't actually enjoy that now. The man still wants to enjoy the sexual life or pleasure with the wife, but most of the women have refused their husbands because they feel pain. They have scars
During the sexual act?
Yes,
Okay.
and you know, this sex is based on hormones. And hormones go to those parts which have been cut. The clitoris is an organ which is stimulated using hormones. So if you have cut the clitoris, that means that this woman will think. Actually, the other thing that we have found out is that the women who are cut have become more promiscuous than the ones who are not cut. Reason? The one who is cut will think that it seems this man is not satisfying me. She doesn't have that pleasure with this man. That now it's good, it's okay, and I can rest. So
now
she will still go to another man thinking maybe the mistake is with the other man.
Do we now admit that the practice is still ongoing in Uganda?
Yes, it's still ongoing. In Kapchorwa, in Kwen, in Buko. Although now there is a reverse. The women who are going to cut will go and hide somewhere.
So nowadays it's not
they don't
done
speak
like...
about it. There is no ceremony.
But back then there was one.
Yeah. But okay, later we shall be looking at some of the reasons why it continues to be there.
Okay, so well, as just like it's an initiative for Reverend Patti, why would you really want to fight this female genital mutilation, looking out for the dangers and how burdensome it is in Uganda to the females in Uganda?
The reason why this is so important to me is because being a woman who's not cut, I understand how important it is to enjoy that pleasure. And my background being in biology and psychology, I understand that when the woman and the man equally share that pleasure, that intimacy, that wonderful sense of climax, then her body releases from the brain a hormone called oxytocin. And oxytocin is called the bonding hormone, and it's very powerful. It's when a mother gives birth to her baby, she gets a very large dose of oxytocin that bonds her to the baby and allows her to go through that pain. And every time she nurses a baby, she's releasing oxytocin in the baby is releasing oxytocin in the mother, and so it bonds them together. And if it weren't for oxytocin, every woman, when the baby starts crying in the middle of the night, they go put a sign on the street saying "baby for sale, cheap," because you have to bond. That is a chemical bond that God created, and I know that. And so I know that not only are the women missing out on that bond with their husband, the husband is missing out too, because it's not preventing her from desiring.
For sex.
You see, desire starts in the brain, it ends up in the genitals. So as Delmark was explaining, if a woman can become aroused, but she cannot climax, so she feels frustrated all the time. You men, you think about times when you have been aroused, but you can't climax. You're so frustrated. That happens to a cut Sabine woman every single time. So she doesn't want, it's not only that, they thought that FGM would force her to have sex only with her husband because that's required. But instead, she's thinking, well, if he can't help me feel release, maybe he can, maybe he can. And that's when I have men saying to me, can we put these things back in?
In order.
Yeah, but
No,
this...
they think that some of the people have been asking her recently, is it, some men have been asking after we teach them, there is plastic surgery these days. Is it possible to do plastic
put them
surgery
back.
to put back the clitoris for the woman?
Like,
And we have not had a sufficient answer.
No,
for that.
the answer is no.
Yeah.
That's the
so
only answer.
it's not
you can-
possible. Well,
It's not
anyway,
possible.
he mentioned about the post effects, that especially towards women that are in their menopause, and I'm also thinking there are also dangers before or during that period. So what are some of those experiences these women go through, especially psychologically?
The only different aspect of a marriage relationship compared to any other friendship is that one thing, sex. You can be you can have just as much fun with a mate, a colleague, a friend. You can talk to each other and tell each other secrets. You can do all of those things. The one thing that you have with your mate, your lifelong mate, is sex. But if you hate it every single time, it's not only just a psychological, like, this is bad. The other thing is that when a woman does not experience pleasure, she doesn't get oxytocin, but she does get a different hormone called cortisol. And cortisol is a stress hormone. So, and it's literally nicknamed the fight or flight hormone. So imagine the husband says to me, says to his wife, I want to have sex with you. Immediately, cortisol starts pumping through her body.
You need to run away from
She
this.
knows it's painful. She knows there's no pleasure in it. He's exploiting her, using her as a tool. So instead of feeling like, oh yeah, the oxytocin doing its job, she's like, either her brain is telling her this is not her just being a bad wife. God created this chemical to tell her what's happening to you is dangerous. You must either flee from it or fight the thing that is causing the pain, which is her husband. So women have to resist wanting to just beat him or get away from him. It's psychologically, it's incredibly damaging. I had a man when I was in Kenya in the beginning of October ask me, isn't it better then that we don't tell our wives what you've just told us so that they can live in blissful ignorance? That was his word. And I said, there is nothing blissful about ignorance. The Bible says, you shall know the truth, and the truth will set you free. And so those, and he agreed, but then they said, but what about these women? They're being re-traumatized when they learn that not only was it not necessary to become a woman, because one of the things they believe is you have to cut that body part out so that she can grow up and become a woman. But also, it's damaging every single woman's marriage.
Is it that every time this woman sleeps with her husband, that trauma comes in?
Every time.
Among the Sabine, the girls, some of the girls face trauma even before they are cut. Because it's a cultural, you know, with the cultural issues, maybe somebody just says, you are going to be cut, either the father or the mother, you are going to be cut, or the husband. And so this person is not willing. Now, so that is before. Now, in the process, honestly, you are being cut without any anesthetic. You can imagine how painful it is. Even just removing a jigger from your
Foot or finger.
or anyway, it's painful. So this.
So
ladies,
like it's
women
not
are
even
going
done
through
under general anesthesia, like nothing.
Nothing. These are just traditional surgeons, or you don't.
Wow.
They actually don't qualify to be called surgeons.
Yeah.
So they're doing it in a very crude way, and we have had so many conferences with her. Some of the information that we are giving you come from live testimonies. The women tell us there was a police lady in Buko, in Sabay, who told us she was not cut when she got married, but after producing 2 children, the husband said, you must be cut, all right? And she accepted to be cut. She's a young lady. I don't want to mention her name, but after being cut, she faced a very big problem. First of all, she could not enjoy sex with the husband. The same husband even started running away from her. Number 2, when she eventually had a way of doing it with the husband, she conceived, and to produce the child to deliver was a problem. All right? So, in some of these conferences that we have done men's conferences. We speak to the men about the danger of cutting the women. And so some of them ask, but now we have cut, our wives are cut. And what you have said is exactly what we're experiencing. Like, the woman doesn't want you to come near her. So it took us a little time. We were with a lady from Finland called Sarah. She's a great lady. She was also a chemist. So she worked with the biologist and with the Dr. Underbat. We got information to give these men. So we told them that, please, the best way out now to relate with these wives, because these are Christians, they don't want to marry the second wife. Best way out is start sex in that home starts in the morning. It doesn't start in that evening. You don't just go there and say, you face this side. No. So they said, okay, so what do we do now? And she took them through some of the words that women like. Come with a gift maybe, and speak nicely to her. Say, I love you. What were those words that you told her when you first married her? I love you. It's, you know, those words that people use. So, some of the men went out to their families and came back to testify that speaking nicely to your wife who is cut, right? And then you get good results. She comes to accept you, and then you can have pleasure together.
We were teaching them things that they can do to release oxytocin. The largest dose of oxytocin that any human being gets is during orgasm. That's the flood of oxytocin. And it's such a powerful thing that when you give that pleasure to each other and you climax, it literally turns off the negative neurons, the negative receptors in your brain. You literally, it's physically impossible to think a negative thought about the person who gave you that pleasure. So there's other ways that you can release oxytocin in the person. And it, you know, touching, looking in the eyes, and a lot of Sabine women, they don't look you in the eyes.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so they have to learn, the husbands have to learn to be tender, because a woman has radar for that, right? we know if he's being kind just so he can get something. So we have to teach them how to
be nice.
appreciate.
Yeah.
So at men's conferences, I'll say to the men, after I've had all this teaching, I say to them, okay, on your way home, I want you to think of 3 things that you love about your wife so much that you would marry her all over again. And then go home and tell her those things. But even that, you can't say, I love how well you cook for me. I love how you wash my clothes. I tell them to think of things about her that are uniquely the way God created her, that you love.
What are some of the achievements that you have registered during this time that you've been handling this case?
That's a great question. Thank you for asking it, because one of the things that you can teach people something. You can cast a vision, but vision leaks. It's like you have a new vision, you put it in a nice new bucket, but there's a little hole in the bottom.
Wow.
And so it leaks out. So you have to recast that vision. And that's why it's so important to have Delmark and his team on the ground. Because I can go home and raise money, and then he can do more teaching. And one of the things that he convinced me that was important was to start projects for young girls and young women so that they learn a skill and they learn a way to earn money so that nobody pushes her around. It gives her the courage to stand up against FGM. And since we started this, we have tailoring groups. We have now 17 groups in all, and we're just starting 4 more, 2 in Riwo and 2 in Kosir. We have tailoring centers all spread out. Sabay is 1,200 square miles. I don't know how many kilometers that is, but it's a very, very large area on Mount Elgon. So the girls are learning how to sew. They can make school uniforms, which is a constant thing. They are learning to do hairdressing, like your beautiful hair. You could go to some of our girls and they fix you up. And we have 3 bakeries. And so the girls are baking commercial bread in an area where it's very hard to get bread. So they're learning these skills, and we've had the bishop now, Bishop Paul Masaba, has contacted us and said he gets messages from people all over the district saying, these are the best projects you've ever had.
But what is the rationale? What is the goal behind all that? Is it that you want to add value on them? Maybe you can just help us emphasize on that.
Yes.
Why are you doing all that, setting up all those centers to teach them, train them about vocational skills? And
when we would start with these groups, the first thing I would say is, what does it mean to be a woman in your community? And they couldn't, and I would say, if you could wave a magic wand and God would allow you to become anything you want to be, what would that be? And they couldn't think of a single thing. They would say, get cut, get married, have babies, take care of the husband, take care of the animals, and that would be it. So they couldn't even dream, which broke my heart. So we started teaching them that they could do things like these skills. And now that they have learned these skills, they can stand up to their father and say, I don't want to be cut. If you don't want me to get married, I'll make my own money. And it gives them a voice. So it's much more than just adding value, but it does give them value. One of our girls just said last week, because of these projects, people now value us.
Among the Sabine, the woman did not have to own anything. So sometimes some of the girls or the young ladies who have just got married would be mocked and say, you don't have to enter my kraal or my granary to get food. So now, when we put the girls and the women together, and the church leaders and the political leaders and the community leaders, the cultural leaders, we have brought on the clan leaders, by the way. And some of the things that they mentioned were that, okay, supposing we make the girls economically strong. And so that's why we started these projects, which makes the girls economically strong. And you don't have to push them down. She can get married to a young man and they don't need to borrow anything from the parents. So that the parents will say, you get cut first. And after putting these girls together, I want to tell you that right from 2011, the girls that we have put together, none of them has been cut.
Yeah.
And each of them can give testimony that they have influenced other girls not to be cut. And in these small projects that they have, say for example, the new project now in Posir. Posir is one of the areas in Kwen. They come together every day. Now that they have sewing machines, before they sew, they share the word of God, and they share these experiences of strength. How do we strengthen ourselves? Some of them share a little money that they are making.
That's amazing. Those are good achievements. But well, I'm also thinking there are challenges along the way.
Oh yeah, those.
What are some of those challenges that you'd be like, well, this has been really challenging. It's been tough for us to get here.
Yeah, for me personally, all of these things cost a great deal of money. So I come home and I'm running up and down, talking to groups, talking to people, trying to raise funds. And I am not a natural born fundraiser, but I'm so passionate about this because I see the value in it. We see lives being changed every day.
Wow.
So it encourages me and it motivates me to go home and raise funds. So funds are the biggest thing because like
There is a very high expectation.
Yeah.
Once we started the project, then the community people started running around and coming. Say, please, you have given skills to these girls and they're doing very well. Why don't you also come to our village? And so
and then I become the one traumatized because I don't have the money, you know, but we believe that God has grown the organization to this point. He will continue.
Amen.
He knows exactly where the money is and to bring it. But on the side here, it's a struggle in some ways because machines break down and they have to be repaired. Most of the girls.
Amazing.
But I think the other challenge that is so practical on the ground is about why this thing continues. Traditional practices are very hard to kill in a culture. So we still have people, men and women, who oppose this campaign. All right? So they want
the campaign to stop.
FGM, they want the cutting of girls to continue. All right? Because like when you read the book of Galatians, chapter 6, it tells you that people who want you to be cut, they want it for their pleasure. So we still have people who want girls to be cut for their
own good.
And one of the biggest challenges that is there related to that one is the cutting of the boys. The cutting of the boys is related to what they call age-set gifting. Your age-set friend brings a gift, but they will only bring the gift for the cutting of the boy if the wife who bought this boy, the mother of this boy, is cut. So that is what is forcing some men to tell their wives, please go get cut so that we can get the age-set gifts. So that is still a very big challenge for us to handle. But we're handling it in this way. Let me say that. But we have not gone so deep. We're handling it by approaching the men who are married, using the men's conference. But we're also bringing the boys on board now.
That's amazing.
That the boys should learn that their wives to be should not be cut.
So we need to reach more people, and one of the things that we're doing to reach people in January, please dear God, is Dr. Larry Young from Emory University is hopefully going to be coming here with me. And he can explain it to the men in a way that, you know, it's a guy-to-guy thing. And so we're really, that's one very big thing. Getting the information out is vital.
That's amazing.
We have these challenges. They come from the achievements. When you are achieving, you also get challenges. But you have to get solutions going forward. We have been training the girls to be sustainable. And then we are connecting them to the local governments because there are funds in local government that can help these girls so that they become sustainable. But then as we do that, it may take a little time. We still talk to partners and donors to Live Together International. Of course, for the side of government, one of the solutions is opening up roads. These people should be rich. And then opening up institutions like schools, opening up health centers, because health workers do a lot of education, all right? But in some of the places where cutting is very common, it's actually unreachable places. Recently, government opened the Rio for settlement. That's why we're able to go there. And now there is compassion in that place. There is, we have now reached there. There are churches which are opening up. There are schools. They are even opening a secondary school. When the girls get a secondary school nearer to them, it's better because they rush to school and they come back home, they're secure.
Just like it is a song that we will keep on singing here in Uganda. Government, where are you? Reverend Patti has been in Uganda for the past 18 years. She knows that song.
Yes.
Everything we do, we'll be like, where is the government? So now Denmark mentions of government should do ABCD, ABCD. So I want to hear from your voice. What do you appeal to the government of Uganda? These are a good initiative that different organizations come up to do, but while some of them do not get the entire support they would have gotten, especially from the government.
Yeah, I think that what I have been told from people who have been to our conferences is that our organization, Live Together International, is the first to attack this problem from the Bible. And if they had knowledge about the Bible, that would be one thing, but having the government be willing to not just focus on women's rights, because the men come to me and they say, now you have changed our minds. Because one group of 3 men were standing there talking to me one time, and they said, we go to these meetings that the other NGOs have, and on the way out we throw their material in the dustbin. Because they say, we didn't believe that women had rights until I explained it from the Bible. And I know that the government is working hard to make equality a stronger issue here, but the government can bring in money to facilitate girls, especially for school, especially for secondary school. That is, education is so key. And a girl who can't go to school, what does she do then? She just gets married, and it's against what every nation wants. They want strong citizens who can take care of themselves and work together.
Government can still print more of the law and let some people go and teach. Maybe use the community development officers, the CDOs, the government structure, the CDO, the parish chief, should be used in those areas where FGM is still very common.
If you're a parent out there and you're thinking of my child, my girl, I have to take her for female genital mutilation, you're wrong. Yeah, and today you've been proved wrong. Yes. So if you need to know more knowledge, we shall be coming back with such episodes. I think Reverend will give us some time still in future, such that we keep talking about these things, add on a voice onto the voices that have been out there. So I'd request our guests to be giving us parting shots as we leave this beautiful home. So I'm going to... Today I said men first.
Thank you very much, Gift and Ben Life. I'm very grateful, and I thank you very much for taking time to be with us.
You're welcome.
We promise to be available at any other time again to share together. Thank you. And this is a way of stopping FGM really. So, it's part of our approach.
Reverend.
Thank you for this opportunity. It's been so great to talk to everyone. And I just want to say that we believe that people who have practiced FGM in the past they weren't trying to be horrible people. They were doing the best they could with the skills and the knowledge they had at the time. We're just trying to give you more knowledge, because I really think that if you can understand how the human body works and how bonding takes place between men and women, you will be like these other men that we've talked about who said, can we put these things back in? And which you can't. But at the same time, you can become the new generation, the new set of ancestors who will help each of your communities decide to make marriages stronger by keeping the female body intact. So thank you very much for this opportunity. I just want to also introduce our Director of Transportation, the great and amazing and wonderful Ivan Biarhanga. I would not be alive without him, because he gets us in the wildest places you can possibly think. He gets us there and he gets us home safe and sound. And this is Ivan Biarhanga, who's been with me for 16 years. 16 years. So I'm very, very happy. Thank you, Ivan.
Welcome.
Just like she's been telling, she's been referring to the Bible so much. She's a believer, she's a Christian, she's a reverend, she's a pastor, whatever. Just give her every title in that setting. So we can't leave this place without praying. I believe there are women out there who are still in that kind of trauma, and they feel like I have to live with this thing for the rest of my life. Well, God is a God of miracles. God is so amazing. So God can do so much. He can mend the brokenhearted. He can do so much. So I'm going to ask Reverend to just pray to that girl, to that woman, even to that marriage that is devastated, frustrated because there is no pleasure in it sexually. So I'm going to request Reverend to pray for you guys out there, and then we shall be leaving.
Okay. Father, Son, and Holy Spirit, you know exactly where every single girl, every single woman out there is suffering in pain and for lack of joy in her marriage. You know every single man who is listening to this and picking up an idea or two and trying to understand his wife better or his daughter in a better way. Lord, I pray that you would not let any word that we've spoken that will do some good in the lives of these girls and these women and their parents and their marriages, Lord, let it just sink in like a gentle rain, just soaking deep into the soil to bear great fruit. And Lord, I pray for each of those girls who are feeling traumatized. If they're afraid that they're going to have to go through this, Lord, show them the way out so that they do not have to go through this. And Father, I pray that those who are resisting feeling shame, that you would just absorb all that shame. Let everything just be relaxed. Help them all to feel that they can turn to you, Jesus Christ, no matter what. And you will be there in ways they never expected, in, as Gift said, miraculous ways. So Lord, I pray that you would just shower down your blessing on all of Uganda, but especially on the girls and the women and the men who are considering FGM. You would just shower down your blessings on them to release them from that desire and help them to move forward in the direction that honors you as God, who made each of your daughters with that very special body part that you designed. Help them not to think, well, God may have designed it, but I can remove it because I want to. Help them to see what a slap in the face that is to you and your perfect will for your daughters. Lord, I pray that within my lifetime, I'll be 64 in 12 days. So Lord, please let FGM be removed from this country completely in my lifetime. And we thank you. We thank you for all you have already done. We thank you for the way forward. We know you know the way forward. I thank you for Delmark and his team on the ground. I thank you for all the supporters of Life Together International who have made this work possible. We couldn't do it without them, and we pray, Lord, that you would bless them abundantly the way they have blessed us. And we lift all these prayers to you and more in the name of Jesus Christ. Amen.
Thank you.
Amen. Thank you so much, Reverend. And we've come to the closure of our session, of our episode. I want to thank you so much, our viewers. And I'd want to remind you, if you've been watching and you've not yet subscribed, please make it a point to subscribe. And also you can leave us a comment onto the comment section. We shall be able to go there and view your comments, or anything you would want to tell us as Ben Live team. Kindly go there and post them onto the comment section. We're here to inform you and educate you. And if you are informed and educated, make it a point to pass on the knowledge,
Yes.
the right knowledge. Don't just flip it like, just pass on the right knowledge too.
Right.
Yeah, such that we can make this world a better place, and life can be amazing if we really informed and learned. Let's not do things out of ignorance. Well, I remain Gift Nakainga. I want to thank so much our hosts, Dr. Andermatt and Damali, for hosting us to have this episode from this beautiful, amazing home. And again, I will tell you that if you're looking out for the best medical services in this Uganda, just run to Brethren Hospital. They have pediatric services, they have gynecological and obstetrician services. They have a lot. Immunization is ongoing there. They work on general conditions. Just go to Brethren Hospital. You'll never regret it. Yes, put your money where it can be spent well. So till next time, bye bye.